Yo, what up? Welcome to Audit View. I'm Josie, and today we are looking at my June and July reads. I'm sorry, it's going to be 9 books, but they're very thin, so I'll try to keep my review thin, although I do have lots of thoughts about some of them. But let's get started, and the first book I read was 100 Legendary Estonian Entertainment Places. It goes from restaurants, cinemas, places where people gather, concert places, parks, stuff like that. It was very interesting, and it was very easy to read because it's just like a couple of pages about one establishment. One of the things I have to say, though, that it was very Tallinn and Tartu heavy, which is to be expected because most people live in these two cities. But I do feel like, aren't there any places in, I don't know, Narva or Võru that are also significant? So this is where I think that the author could have tried to, make it more, I don't know if it's inclusive, but just have had a wider reach. But this was fun, and it was fun especially because I had already read this book, which is The Lessons of Modern Life. And it's by Anu Kannike and Madle Uibo. And there's basically there's a scissor of this book already published. It's almost identical sister. But I read this. It was because during the last school year, for the 9th graders, their topic for History Olympics was Estonian life during 20s and 30s, like the culture, the sports, entertainment, cinemas, theater, what people wore, what people ate. So this covers most of those things. And here are so many interesting facts that I'm being really irritating with. If people are cutting a tomato, I'm like, do you know that during 20s and 30s they actually promoted tomatoes? People didn't eat them before that. So I'm being pretty annoying with that. But here are so many interesting topics. Like I said, the food part is super interesting because we're so used to eating what we do, but to find out that our traditions are actually not that long is surprising. And also, if you are vegan, it's very interesting to read this because apparently veganism was popular at the beginning of 20th century. More you know. But also it talked about electricity, how to have people over, how to decorate your living space, how to take care of your skin, hair, etc. And also how to work out. Estonians like to work out, especially during the winter. Skiing, yay! Very interesting book. I'm gonna take a bit of a break. I would say 6 months before I read the second one, which is the city life in 20s and 30s, which is basically the same. But I do want to read both books. They are a bit different, but it's very easy read. If you want to just go in and read a chapter or two, perfect. And yay! Let's talk about something that's not history related, and this is Gorgeous Gruesome Faces, Win or Die Trying, and it's by Linda Cheng. What exactly happens? They go to this place in the woods where they start to train, and then really gory and disturbing things start happening. Girls start getting hurt, and they keep getting carted away, and then people start turning the same face, and everything is just weird. Let's say there's a cult. This is advertised as a sapphic thriller in a K-pop land, and I would say, yeah, yeah, it is. I have to say though, I enjoyed reading it. I definitely did. But this reads like a fanfic. So if you have ever read any fanfics that are like 30, 40,000 K that have a nice plot going, something about it was exactly like that. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it's just a feeling. And when I was reading the biography, the author said that she started out writing fanfics. So I was like, when I was reading it, I was trying to think like, which group would it be? Would it be like Soshi? Would it be Red Velvet? I know that they are not based on K-pop groups. I think they are not based on K-pop groups, but I felt it, like I should figure it out because like from all the clues, I liked it. It actually got nicely sapphic for YA in my opinion, and I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see if they are doing the second part because they did kind of build it up to have a second part. But yes, please read it and tell me if you do feel like me that this is just like straight up fanfic, like in the most like best way. Like I love those 30 to 50 to 80K fanfics, but it's just I like some kind of cognitive dissonance. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the next one. A very short history of Russia by Mark Galeotti, and you can see it is tiny. It is very, very tiny. And he has built it up quite interestingly. So it starts off with what Russians think history was during that period, what it actually was during the period, how has the narrative and the thoughts influenced how Russians think today, and then like bunch of stuff that you can read to expand on the like the topic or the period that they are covering. That was very well done. I have to say, like couple of times for me was a bit too, I wouldn't say laissez-faire, but he was a bit opinionated. For me, if you're writing a history book, you shouldn't really snark on things. But there were some places where he was making a joke, and I was like, oh, but this is not objective. Really liked it. It is an easy read. It's a pretty crazy read as well. I've known about Russia's history only connected to Estonian history, so this helped me to fill in a lot of blanks where these two countries' history was not aware of each other. Very nice, definitely. If you see it, it was like €7. Like, just get it. It will be very beneficial to understanding Russia and just to see from where they have come. About history books, this is Between a Port and a Horizon, the history of world seas by Michael North. I have wanted to get this for a long time. I was waiting for it to be discounted, but I was like, oh yeah, I know this author, like he sounds good. He sounds familiar because I read his book about the Baltic Sea. It was so boring. That was such a pain to get through. And surprisingly, so was this one. Especially the parts that were connected to Baltic history or Mediterranean Sea. But I knew all that. But it was not him telling the story. It was just facts. There was no way to kind of like spin it in a way that you are enjoying reading about all those facts. It was very dry. It was just like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And, ooh, I struggled. But I was thinking that, no, I have to keep with it because after all the different seas and oceans, we had like this more global history perspective at the last two chapters. So the first was about the globalization of seas, and the other was about dangers for our planet and for the seas and fauna and flora and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I just have to stick until that part. Like, this is what I want to read. It was good that he included it, but I wasn't impressed. So, it could have been so good, but he basically concentrated on the Baltic Sea and the North Sea and Mediterranean, which is already known to us who live here. And then there were some nice things about the Yellow Sea and nothing about the Pacific, I think. I can't remember anything from there. But I feel like if you're going to write something like this, especially if you're coming from Europe, you should take more time to really learn and write about the places that are farther. Because if you just want to do the European Sea or the colonizers' sea, then this is it. But I really hope I can get the same topic like this, the seas history, the ocean's history, by maybe another author in the future. Let's switch gears a bit, and the next book I read was this tiny thing. It's Disobedient Bodies, Reclaim Your Unruly Beauty by Emma Dabiri, and it's basically an essay about how the world, the society sees our bodies, how we see our bodies, and how to maybe escape from all the negative and bad things that especially women keep associating with their bodies. And it was nice read. I would say the introduction was like a whole nother article in the news. I don't understand why it was like that. Then they got to the actual researched part, and that was nice. I really enjoyed that. There were a lot of good ideas and just shared experiences that I think all women would recognize while reading this. But then in the end, it went a bit holistic, and I understand that this is my mind coming from like Eurocentric society where science is the most important thing, and if somebody starts talking about feeling your body holistically, then I'm like, again, what would be the alternative be? If we don't want to have our bodies dissected, viewed as in a scientific way, if we want to be more in touch with it, then is the holistic way to go, or is there some type of place in the middle? But I definitely think it's a nice quick read, maybe to people who have not thought about this topic a lot before, maybe for some men, but I do think that I got a lot of ideas and thoughts that made me take a step back and think that, why do I feel the way I feel? Is it because of myself, or is it because of the society? And it really started a conversation in my head between myself. Next one is Can We Save the Planet? A Primer for the 21st Century. It's from the Alice Bell, yes. It's from the Big Idea series. I have read Is Gender Fluid, and when I was reading Is Gender Fluid, I was like, oh, it's kind of weirdly formatted. So this is what I mean. So it has texts that are in 3 sizes. So it's like the big one, the smaller one, and then the 3rd smallest. And then there are expressions for the pictures. And this time I actually read in the beginning how you should read this book. If you just want a quick read to get the idea, you read only the largest ones. If you want to get the gist of it, but like some examples, then you do the big one and the second biggest one. and the middle one. And if you just want to have it all, the whole experience, you read everything. It's a very interesting system. I have to say, it gave me a headache because you have to constantly, even on one page, you have to change how you look at the text, how you take it in. So it was a bit of a troublesome thing. What about the book? It begins with what we have done to the planet, self-explanatory. Then it goes, what are the obstacles to fix it? And then I think the most important part was the end, where they said that we can do something, and those things were so varied and different, and I had never heard of most of them. What people can do, how they can clean the planet, how they can get more oxygen. I was pleasantly surprised and left feeling hopeful. And I think this is most important thing that we have to have. We have to have some hope. We have to feel like, oh, we can do this and this and this. And in a perfect world, like this book said, we have to do several things that were described here. So there is no one fix-all. There is no thing that only like us regular people can do, or only one thing that the big corporations can do. It has to be a group effort. And yes, I was very surprised how hopeful it was. So let's hope we don't blow ourselves up. This is Moonstorm. When I saw it in the store, I was like, yes! Because it's by Yuna Lee, and he's one of my favorite sci-fi authors. His books are so mathematical. Like if you start to read it, your head starts to hurt, and you keep thinking like, how can somebody come up with this kind of thing? I loved his last series, and when I saw that, he made a young adult one, let's check it out. This book. This was one of the biggest disappointments for me in a long while. It's a young adult book with mechas, so things like that teenagers drive. It was so full of tropes. It was, in my opinion, such lazy writing, and nobody was really fleshed out. Everything went like fast, like it was just describing a movie that had already been made. You know, the books after movies, they often can feel like kind of like empty and hollow. But everything here was predictable. I seriously don't understand if it was the same person who wrote it. It feels like if it was written like in 2 days, and the agent was like, oh, we need a young adult one, and then like something was written. I didn't like anything about it. I did like one thing. When they go to their first battle, and who was that? Hwa-young first drives her mecha. She ends up basically getting hit or crashing it, and getting towed to the back to the bay, which is like, if I was thinking about 16-year-old's first combat experience in space in a big goddamn ship, all by herself, I would assume that she would get hit and would have to be towed away. Then this happened, and I was like, checks out. Like, 16-year-olds are not magic. There were sapphic elements in here. There was like one guy who was kind of sweet, I guess, but no, it's just a no. And I see that this is going to be a series, and I just have more question marks floating around like, why? Okay, and we're up to the last one. The last one is on Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Snyder and illustrated by Nora Krog. It's basically a shorter version of a book of the same name. So obviously it will be lighter. Somebody on Goodreads was like, why do we need this? We already have the book. Well, to reach more audiences. Anyway, this was cool. I really liked the illustrations. I feel like it has a very strong sense of what the illustrator is like, and I enjoyed that the text could be quite heavy. So after you read some heavy thoughts, you could look at the pictures, and pictures made you think even more. So you were wondering what was happening, why did they choose this one to go with the text. I enjoyed the whole reason, the whole thing like that. And yeah, it's basically just talking about 20 ways how to stop tyranny, what you should do. It doesn't only talk about like, oh, you should not vote for people who are dictator-like, but it also talks about what happens when the dictatorship or the tyranny has been established. So what you should do. And some of the things are really easy, like smile to your neighbors who might be coming under persecution. That's one small thing that you can do. Stand up, be calm when the unthinkable arrives. Be kind to your language, believe the truth, be as courageous as you can, learn from peers in other countries, contribute to good causes, and be a patriot. You could see that some of the texts were more complicated. I was hoping that I could use this with my middle schoolers, but I think this is more of a high schooler thing and for grown-ups. It definitely isn't just a fun picture book, but I appreciate it coming in this form because it makes it more accessible. These were the books I read in June and July. I think I did a pretty good job. I definitely want to read more things that are not history or civics for my next month, and to have some more sci-fi and fantasy, but this is what my summer was like. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe. Bye!